Are you ready to uncover the truth? Like, share, comment with a 1 if you find these videos informative and a 2 if you don't, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into 10 crucial stories that haven't received the attention they deserve. Think of this as investigative journalism's bargain bin, where we sift through overlooked issues impacting our world. Buckle up, because we're about to shine a light on some seriously shady corners. These aren't your run-of-the-mill forgettable news items. We're talking about issues with real human consequences, swept under the rug by those in power. So grab your detective hats and your thinking caps, because we're about to embark on a roller coaster ride of righteous indignation and uncomfortable truths. Let's kick things off with a gut punch. The crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. This horrifying reality has been plaguing communities for far too long, yet it remains tragically underreported. Thousands of women and girls have vanished or been found murdered, their cases often mishandled or forgotten. These are mothers, daughters, sisters and friends whose lives have been stolen, leaving behind grief and unanswered questions. Imagine the outcry if this were happening to any other demographic group. Yet, because it's happening to Indigenous communities, it barely registers on the national radar. Efforts to address this crisis have been woefully inadequate. We need systemic change, increased resources, and more media attention to bring justice to these victims and prevent further tragedies. This isn't just a problem for Indigenous communities, it's a societal failure that demands our attention and action. Get ready for a dose of terrifying science, PFAS, also known as forever chemicals. These insidious compounds are found in everything from non-stick cookware to firefighting foam, and have infiltrated our water supplies, food chain, and bloodstreams. Exposure to PFAS has been linked to health problems including cancer, liver disease, and immune deficiency. The corporations responsible for these toxins would rather keep the whole thing hush-hush for the sake of profit margins. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're delving into corporate greed and its devastating impact on public health. The companies responsible for forever chemicals knew about their dangers for decades, but chose to prioritize profits over people. Internal documents and whistleblowers have revealed a pattern of deception and cover-ups. These companies knowingly expose their workers, consumers, and entire communities to toxic substances. We need to hold these corporations accountable and demand stricter regulations to protect public health. We can't let them continue to play fast and loose with our lives. Let's talk about cryptocurrency, the magical internet money that everyone seems obsessed with. Behind the hype lies a dirty secret. Cryptocurrency mining is an environmental disaster. Creating new units of cryptocurrency requires solving complex mathematical problems using powerful computers that consume staggering amounts of energy. A significant portion of this energy comes from fossil fuels, particularly coal. The carbon footprint of cryptocurrency mining is massive and growing rapidly, contributing to climate change and air pollution. This inconvenient truth is often ignored in the rush to embrace the latest technological innovation. It's time to talk about a resource essential to life: water. We're facing a global water crisis. Droughts are becoming more frequent and severe, groundwater aquifers are being depleted, and pollution is contaminating our water sources. This isn't just an abstract problem, it's impacting real people's lives right now. Farmers are struggling to grow crops, communities are facing water rationing, and millions lack access to safe drinking water. We need to start using water more responsibly and invest in water conservation technologies. Improving water infrastructure and addressing the root causes of climate change are crucial steps. It's a humanitarian crisis unfolding before our eyes. Get ready to have your minds blown. Microplastics are everywhere. They're in our oceans, rivers, soil, food, water, and even our bodies. These tiny particles are like the glitter of the pollution world, incredibly difficult to get rid of. They break down into smaller pieces but never truly disappear, just keep accumulating. Preliminary research suggests they could be linked to health problems, including hormonal disruption, reproductive issues, and cancer. We're conducting a massive, uncontrolled experiment on ourselves by pumping billions of tons of plastic into the environment, and the results are not looking good. Let's talk about refugees, individuals and families forced to flee their homes due to conflict, persecution, or natural disasters. They've often endured unimaginable trauma and loss, only to face further hardship and uncertainty in their search for safety. Refugees are at a significantly higher risk of experiencing mental health challenges, such as PTSD, anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Despite the urgent need, mental health services for refugees are often inadequate or inaccessible. Language barriers, cultural stigma, and a lack of understanding create barriers to seeking and receiving appropriate care. These invisible scars of trauma need our attention and action. Let's talk about the future generation and the importance of quality education. Public education in many parts of the world is woefully underfunded and undervalued. Teachers are overworked and underpaid, classrooms are overcrowded, and resources are stretched thin. This lack of investment perpetuates cycles of poverty, limits opportunities, and widens the achievement gap. We need to invest in public education, attract and retain qualified teachers, and create equitable learning environments for all students. Our future depends on it. Let's turn our attention to Yemen, a country ravaged by conflict and often overlooked by the international community. Yemen has been embroiled in a brutal civil war, fueled by regional powers and a devastating humanitarian crisis. Millions of people are on the brink of famine, widespread displacement, and a collapsing healthcare system. Behind the statistics are real people, families caught in the crossfire, children starving, and healthcare workers risking their lives. Their stories deserve to be heard, their suffering acknowledged. We need to demand an end to the violence, increased humanitarian aid, and accountability for those responsible for war crimes. Let's talk about economic inequality, an issue that's been simmering for decades and is now reaching a boiling point. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is widening, creating a world where a select few hoard unimaginable wealth while millions struggle. Economic inequality undermines social cohesion, fuels political instability, and stifles economic growth. We need to address the root causes such as stagnant wages, tax loopholes, and lack of access to affordable housing, healthcare, and education. We need policies that promote economic justice, empower workers, and create opportunities for all. It's time to bridge the divide and create a world where everyone has a fair shot at a decent life. Well, folks, there you have it. 10 underreported stories that deserve our attention, our outrage, and our action. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the invisible threat of microplastics to the forgotten war in Yemen. Ignorance is not bliss. It's a privilege we can no longer afford. We need to stay informed about the challenges facing our world, even the uncomfortable ones. By shedding light on these underreported stories, we can create a more just, equitable, and sustainable world for all. Stay hopeful and engaged. Together, we can make a difference. Like, share, and comment with a 1 if you find these videos informative and a 2 if you don't. And turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos.